I'm glad to see all your smiling faces this Monday morning. And I thought today we would kind of do a refresher on what the basics of yoga is and what is good spine health. We were just talking before class about how important posture is to protect your knees and your joints as you get older. So I thought I would share with you a little bit of a demonstration. So I have my nifty little slinky with me. And I was in a yoga training class one time, and one of my teachers, Sherry Zach Morris, used this example. I thought it was perfect to represent your spine. And I happened to find one that was variegated in color, which is even more perfect to show you the different parts of your spine. So if you think of this as your spine, and you think of the top part, the yellow, as the cervical spine, and then the next, the pink part, as your thoracic, the green as your lumbar, this is your sacrum. That's that, you know, triangular shaped bone that we always put the block under when we do supported bridge. And this little guy in the bottom as your coccyx. So there's your spine. How beautiful is it, right? So now we want to make sure that in any posture that we're in yoga, that we're in good alignment and that we're protecting our spine. Particularly as we get older, we get a lot of bone spurs, we get arthritis, we get narrowing in the spinal column. So it's so important. We don't always do things as maybe you would see in a traditional yoga class because I'm more concerned with spine health. So there's 5 different ways your spine can move. Axially, which is up and down, long ways, lengthen. When I always say lengthen your spine, inhale, lift up. This is what I'm wanting you to do. Open up the space between the vertebrae so that even if you do have some compression, you still have room to move around so that you don't pinch a nerve or cause any damage. Then forward fold, when we do forward folds, this is called flexion, coming forward, right? Then our spine can also move backward, which is called extension, right? And then we can move side to side, which is lateral movement, this way, and obviously the opposite direction. And then we can twist, which is called rotation. So in order to do any of these movements, and if you'll notice throughout class, and that's what I would like you to sort of bring your awareness to today, is making sure that you're treating your spine with extra TLC, and that before you do any movement, whether it's lateral, extension, flexion, whatever, that you're always getting that axial extension first. You're opening up all the space between those vertebrae so that if you're going to do a lateral bend, look what happens. You have all that space and nothing's getting compressed. You're not pinching a nerve, you're not squeezing any ligaments, you're not causing any damage. But look what happens if you do it without lifting it. You see the compression down here? So you can see how you can pinch a nerve really easily. And that's why I never ask you to roll down in a forward fold or roll back up. I always want you to extend, right? Make length, axial extension, then hinge at your hips and take that whole upper back over so that you're protected. You're always making space between your vertebrae to make sure that you're not causing any damage. So let's think of us as little slinkies today and make sure that we create as much space as we can between all our postures. And then as we go through postures, I always talk to you about alignment, but I want you to really be aware of what's going on in your spine as we take each of these postures today. So if you close your eyes and bring your awareness into the room, and try to let go of any distractions or any early morning things that occupied your mind, and start to just bring some attention to your breath. And as a reminder, yoga, as we always say, is not about judgment. It's not about making the perfect pose. It's not an exercise. It's a union between mind, body, and spirit. It's a practice. It's a way of life. It's a way to bring awareness, mindful awareness, and use our breath to every movement and every action and every thought, so that we can experience calm and peace, and we can have the benefits of more fluid movement and more range of motion. So just try to even out your breath. Try to soften the muscles in your shoulders in particular. And when we talk about the spine, it's so important to keep that chin tucked back so that our ears are over our shoulders and our shoulders are over our hips and hips over knees and ankles. So this way we have that nice, long, protected spine. So in whatever seat you've chosen this morning, just check in with those parts of your body and make sure you're extending, protecting all those vertebrae. And as distracting thoughts float into your mind's eye, as always, recognize them, but don't let them take you on a rabbit hole. Just bring your awareness back to your breath. And then slowly begin to flutter open your eyes and maybe make today's intention be one of awareness, spinal health and safety. And then begin to lift your arms up overhead. And here's our axial extension. Feel the length in your spine from your tailbone all the way up through the crown of your head, reaching to the sky, which lifts out of your hips and gives you that long, lean spine. And maybe even lift your head up with your chin. And then extend to open your arms out to the side. Use your breath on the exhale. Inhale, lift up again, nice long axial extension. Try to get even taller this time. Exhale, arms out to the side. Checking in with your neck, make sure it's pulled back one more time up. And exhale down. Inhale, bring your arms in front of you and begin to walk your fingertips out in front of you, slowly hinging at your hips, keeping a nice long spine, keeping your gaze down towards the earth so you have a neutral cervical spine. And this is your first flexion, moving your spine forward, but you're hinging at the hips, keeping a straight spine from your lumbar all the way up through your cervical spine. Keep your biceps close to your body and take it as forward as you feel comfortable. Maybe use a block if you need to. Rest your head on the block if you want. So you're here, you can take it as a high position. And then slowly on your exhale, begin to walk back up, hinging at your hips, keeping that nice, tall, long spine. And just relax here for a minute. Couple breaths here. And then take your right arm out to the side and begin to walk your fingertips out. And let's take a lateral. There you go. A lateral bend to our spine. Again, always making length before we extend. There you go. Keeping your shoulders and your hips facing forward. Using your breath. And then slowly walk, use your core, pull back up. Bring that left hand to the mat and let those fingers do the walking. And bring that right arm up over. Keep those hips and shoulders forward. Lateral extension to the left. And your cervical spine is neutral. Your gaze is just forward. You're not up or down. Just nice and soft. Just opening up the side body. And then come on up. And just rotate your shoulders up and back. Just nice big circles. Maybe drop your chin to your chest. Maybe work your neck a little bit organically. See what you're feeling today. And then rotate your shoulders forward. Now take your arms, both hands, put them behind your hips, like you're going to do a cow pose. Bring your biceps close to your body, arch your back, lift your chin for your first gentle back bend, right? So this is your extension of your spine. So now we're moving it in a different direction. Just gentle, pull your elbows close together. Take it as much or as deep or as little as feels good to your body today. And then slowly release and come back to neutral. Nice long spine. And remember, always, your body is your guide, right? And then inhale, arms up. Exhale, take your right hand behind your right hip, your left hand to your left thigh. Inhale, lift nice and tall, axial extension, and then rotation to your right, coming from your thoracic. So you made nice space between all those vertebrae. And now you can twist a little bit deeper. Stay here and use your breath to continue to lift, making space, and twist, rotate, and breathe. And then slowly unwind, come back to center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, this time left hand behind left hip, right hand to right thigh. Inhale, twist. Exhale, rather, twist. So we're taking rotation now to the left side. And you might notice you're a little tighter on one side than the other. So maybe if that back hand is not comfortable being on the mat, maybe take that hand up to your waist. Just feel, do what's good for your body. Use your breath to soften your shoulders and then come on back. One more time, arms up, and this time bring them down on the exhale to cactus. Pushing those shoulder blades towards your spine, supporting your spine. So we're making space and we're using our muscles to support it. So we're strengthening those back muscles, arms up, that hug our spine and hold it in place so that we don't damage our spine. Inhale, lift. Exhale, extend. Cactus. One more time, lift. Exhale, cactus. Stay here. We're going to do a twist from cactus. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist to the right. Twist is coming from your rib cage. Squeezing out all those internal organs. This is really good for digestion. Come on back to center. Inhale, lift, straight spine. Exhale, opposite side. If your legs or knees are starting to bother you in this posture, extend them, realign them, wiggle them, do what you need to do to feel comfortable. Come on back to center. Drop your arms to the mat, extend your legs, and just shake them out a little bit. And if you're on a block or a blanket, just remove that for now and sit up nice and tall in Dandasana. This is our seated pose. So you want to sit up nice and tall. You want to pull those sit bones out. You want your toes to be facing the ceiling. Straight legs, straight back. So check, here's a good place to check your alignment. And your hands can come behind you, either tented, bringing your elbows in towards your body, or you can leave them flat, whatever feels best for you. But the most important thing here is making space, right? So keeping that axial extension, checking in to make sure your ears are over your shoulders. Your hamstrings are stretching, your calves are stretching, and then you're going to release from your back and just start to hinge forward. wherever that goes. You can just gently sit here, if that's what's in your practice today, or you can start to walk your hands, keeping that long spine. We don't run around our back. So you're just thinking about bringing your chest to your thighs, towards your thighs, whatever that looks like to you. Maybe you grab hold of your ankles. Maybe you reach your toes. Maybe you just here. Whatever feels good. Don't drop your chin. Try to keep a neutral cervical spine. And you're just hinging from your hips, getting that stretch in your hamstrings. And opening up that lumbar spine, that area around your lower back. Getting a nice gentle stretch there. And then inhale, come on. And then from that position, bring your right knee in. Bend your right knee. Bring your bottom of your foot to the inside of your left leg. And try to be mindful of your alignment. Keep your hips and shoulders forward. And toe pointed up to the ceiling. So you're tightening your quads, which is going to support your knee. And then you're going to hinge from the hips, again, straight back. And just kind of walk your way down your left foot. Don't bend your back, don't round your back. Nice, long back. Good, looking good, ladies. Just feel the stretch. Try not to bob. Try to just have a nice, steady stretch here because we have to release the fascia around the muscles. So let's just kind of breathe, a couple breaths here. Try to see if you can soften the muscles that are tense, you're holding tension in, maybe around your shoulders. And if this is uncomfortable, your right leg might need to be supported with a block or a blanket. You can do that as well. Just kind of feel what feels good for you. And then slowly walk your hands back up, nice tall spine. And just release that right leg, extend it out and bend your left leg. Same thing. The bottom of your foot to the inside of your thigh, nice and tall, hips and shoulders to me. Making space, checking in with your chin, keeping those ears over your shoulder, and then start to hinge at your hips, long spine, and just walk your chest down towards your thigh. Wherever it lands is where you need to be today. Try not to twist your upper body. We're just doing a forward fold, just a flexion. And the more you pull that right toe back, the deeper the stretch in your hamstring. Just grab hold of your calf or your shin. Just feel the stretch and try to find stillness and use your breath to soften. And again, if you need to support your left knee with a block or a blanket or a pillow, do whatever you need to do. Couple more breaths here. And then slowly walk your hand back up. Nice and tall. Now, see if this is in your practice today. Bring your right foot back and try to get the bottoms of your feet to kiss. See if you can touch them. Again, if you're tight, take blocks, put them under your knee. What you want to avoid is this rounding. You want to keep tall. So maybe grab hold of your shins or your ankles and just imagine that slinky being pulled up, and maybe tilt your hip bones back, your pelvic back, so that you can get a nice long spine. And don't be afraid if you're up here, that's fine too. Maybe you want to support your legs this way, or against a wall. Make sure if you're close to a wall, use the wall for your back. But the most important thing is to lift that tailbone, that pelvic, so that you can keep a straight spine and just get as much stretch. So we're getting a stretch on the inside of our thighs now. Nice and tall. Just check in with your ears, make sure they're over your shoulders. Check in and think of your back as a slinky. Are you pulling it all the way up, making space between each vertebrae? And just breathe here. Try to find softness. Use your breath to relax. We're always going to have things that stress us, stress our bodies, stress our minds. And we need to find the breath and the ability to stay and walk in that path of stress without letting it affect our body negatively. So the breath is the tool we can use to do that. Last breath here. And then slowly bring those knees together. And you can either rock forward this way and come on to hands and fours, or get there however you feel comfortable. So you're on all fours, hands and knees. And we're going to start to warm up our spine just by doing some cat-cows. So let's take just a check in on our alignment. As always, make sure your hands are under your shoulders, knees under your hips, feet behind your knees, and you have a nice long neutral spine. Your belly's not sagging, your back is not arched. And if you have problems with your wrists, you can always take a blanket and raise the heel of your hand onto the edge of the blanket, which can take some of the pressure off your wrists. Or you can tense your fingers if this is more comfortable for you. Your call. And let's start using our breath to come into cat-cow. So inhale, drop your belly, lift your hips, and gazes forward. Nice deep bend. Exhale, belly button to spine, pull your shoulder blades apart, chin tucks into chest for angry cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat on your own breath. Start your rhythm as it connects with your breath. We each have a different rhythm to our breath. So you always want to inhale on the cow when you drop your belly. And exhale when you pull your belly button in and pull your shoulder blades apart on a cat. And then while you're in your last cat, begin to open up the side body. A little lateral move here, out to the left, and then come on back up into your cow. And on your next cat, go the opposite direction. Take a lateral move, move those hips out to the opposite side. Get the stretch in that side body. Come back, and now let's do our Chakrabhakasana. So when we come back down, all the way down, almost to child's pose, drop your forearms to the mat. Begin to swoop your chest forward as you come up into cow. Exhale, pull your belly button in, pull your shoulder blades apart, bring your hips towards your ankles, drop your forearms, and start that fluid cat-cow on your breath. Still inhaling on the cow and exhaling on the cat. And add any organic movement that works for you. So now we're imbibing our spinal column, right? And imbibing the discs. And what that means is we're lubricating them. We're forcing the synovial fluid to move around and through our discs. So we're making our spine a lot more limber and flexible. And on your last one, find your way into child's pose. Knees apart, toes together, belly between your knees, arms stretch out in front of you. Nice long spine, forehead to the mat. Nice breaths here. And if this is uncomfortable, you can't get your hips back because it bothers your knees, you can take a block and put it on your calves, or you can take a blanket and put the blanket underneath here so that you make space that way. So do whatever modifications you always need. You always have be mindful of what you need to feel good and not strain any joint. Last breath, and come on back up to all fours. Check in with your alignment. And now this might make more sense to you when we do our spinal balance. So we're going to extend our right foot back, pushing that heel to the back wall, toe pointed down, keeping the hips like headlights facing the earth. And then extend that left arm. Your gaze is still down, but you have a nice long line from the tip of your left finger to the tip of your right foot. You're not sinking into the earth. You're making lots of space between each vertebrae. Core is engaged, and slowly bring your hand and knee back to the mat. Take a breath here. And get ready to set yourself on the other side. Keeping your weight balanced on your right knee. Extend that left leg forward back, pushing that toe towards the earth. And when you're ready, extend the opposite arm. Now, if this isn't in your practice, just extend your foot. Be mindful of keeping a straight spine. If you want to play around with it, come on up, but you want as long a line as you can get. And then come on back down. Take a minute here. Maybe do some side rotations, hip on each side laterally. And then come back to child's pose for 2 breaths. And inhale, come on back to all fours. And take your right arm out to the side. Drop it through, thread the needle. And little side twist here. Trying to drop your shoulder down to the earth. Sinking your hips a little back towards your ankles. Left forearm is on the mat. And if your shoulder doesn't come all the way down, that's okay. Just take it where it needs to be. We're just opening up the back body. And slowly unwind. Come on back. Extend the opposite arm out to the side. And thread the needle on your opposite side, on your left. Drop your left shoulder down to the mat. Right forearm is down. Just let your shoulder forward, and then try to soften your back muscles. There should be no tension, should be no pain in your shoulder. If there's pain in your shoulder, you need to back off. And come on back up. And come all the way, walk your fingers all the way up to kneeling. Take a minute, grab your blocks. You might want to put them at the front of your mat. Or your rice containers, or your books, or whatever you're using for props today. And then when you're ready, nice and tall, long spine, step your right foot between your blocks so that you're making a right angle with your right foot. Your right knee over your ankle. And we're just gonna open up your hip flexor here. So start to lean forward. Maybe use your blocks for support if you want here. And you want the stretch in your hip flexor, but it's very important to keep your right knee over your right ankle. So, and as you look over, you can see your toes and make sure that it's your hip and your knee are in alignment. It's not splaying out or in, because that will cause knee damage. So we want to protect our knees. Nice tall, check in with your ears, make sure they're over your shoulders. And just breathe here. And then check in with your right leg. Make sure that your toe is behind your knee, that it's not turning in or out. And just breathe. And then slowly, on your exhale, start to shift your hips back, lift your front toe, and get that stretch in your hamstring. Maybe gently hinge at your hips and start to bring your chest down towards your thigh. Turn the corners of your mouth up and smile. Find the ease in this pose. It might be tight today. Just sit in it for a minute. Back off if you need to. Try to calm yourself with your breath. And then slowly begin that fluid movement back and forth. Because again, we want to imbibe our knee joint this time, right? Bringing fluid around our knee. So just keep moving it in and out on your breath. And as always, if one form of this pose needs more TLC, then stay in that a little bit longer. If your bent knee on the mat is starting to bother you, tuck a blanket underneath it. And when you come to a bent knee on your front leg, just stay there until we all get there. Take a little breath. And then slowly bring your hips back and walk that right knee back to the earth. Stand up nice and tall. Extend your left leg out to the side, off your mat. Take your block and bring it over to your right. Just one block. And then nice and tall, we're going to do a lateral stretch with our spine, but we're going to lift tall. There you go. And then we're going to start to walk our left hand over to that block and extend our right hand, extend our left hand so that our bicep is by our ear, shoulders and hips are forward. We have a nice long line. Nice. Don't be putting a lot of pressure on that hand that's on the block. We don't want any pressure on the heel of your wrist. There you go. Try to use your core to keep you elevated. So you're lifting and pulling open your chest. And come on back up. And walk that right knee back in. Maybe widen your knees. Take one child pose here. Check in with your breath. See if it's gotten a little shallow. And if it has, try to lengthen your inhales and your exhales and smooth out your breath. And on your next inhale, come all the way up. Walk your hands up till you're on your knees. Take your blocks, put them at the front of your mat. And when you're ready, walk, wrong foot. Walk your left foot forward. Again, check in with your left knee. Make sure it's over your ankle and you can see your toes when you peek over. And we're getting that stretch in the hip flexor on our right leg. Use your blocks for support, keeping a nice long spine. Feel light. Use your breath to lighten this pose, soften it. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. And maybe you can walk that front foot forward a little bit, get a little deeper stretch. Try to make sure that this knee stays in line with your hip. It doesn't splay out or in. Nice. Just breathe. Keep your shoulders facing me. On your exhale, pull your hips back. Lengthen that front leg, toe up to the ceiling. Hamstring stretch. Stay here for a breath or two. And if you have a tight hamstring, you'll have a tendency to rotate that left hip forward. Try to remember to pull that left hip back. A couple more breaths here. And then start to hinge at your hips. Just let your chest come forward towards your thigh. And our bodies are not even. Somebody said one time that our bodies, each side of our body, they're not twins, they're just sisters. So they won't be exactly alike. So just honor whatever this side is feeling. If it's extra tight, then just maybe back off a little bit. And then start that organic movement. Bring your foot to the earth and start that change between the hip flexor and the hamstring stretch. Keeping a straight spine on your breath. Exhale is when you pull back. Keeping that knee in a line with your ankle. Protect your knee. Take it nice and slow. And again, if you need a blanket under your bent knee, take the time to do that. And on each one, notice that maybe you get a little deeper in your hip flexor stretch. And with each breath, maybe a little bit deeper in your hamstring stretch. And like I said before, if you want to stay in one pose for a couple extra breaths, feel free to do that. My hamstring is tight today, so I'm going to stay here for a minute. And then I'll meet you in a hip flexor stretch, coming forward. Nice long spine, shoulders away from your ears. And then slowly lift and then bring that knee back to kneeling. And then take your block over to the left side. Extend your right foot out to the side. And keep your pinky toe parallel to whatever side wall you're facing. Hips and shoulders are facing me. Nice long spine, you're not leaning in either direction. And then begin to extend that left hand out towards the block and the right bicep to your ear. Keep your shoulders and hips facing me. Gaze is facing me. You don't have to look at your arm. Just look straight forward. So you're keeping your cervical spine soft and neutral. And then stretch those fingertips as far as you can. Feel your lifting out of your hips. There you go. Nice. Breathe. Inhale, use your core. Come on up. Knees back to the earth. And then slowly make your way onto your back. So onto your hips. Keep your blocks handy and keep your strap handy. So you're going to come to a seated posture and you're going to pull your tailbone, your sit bones out. So you're sitting with a nice long spine. Your knees are bent. Your chin is tucked and you're nice and comfortable here. And then begin to walk your feet back till you find that tipping point where you can engage your core, keep a straight spine, and lift your legs. And then lift and touch. Lift and touch. Lift and touch. One last one. Lift and touch. Now, see if it's in your practice today to lift both legs. And down. Try not to roll over. If you're rolling over, then maybe stick with tapping your feet. Ready? Find that balancing point. Engage your core. Lift. And down. And then slowly bring your feet back to Dandasana. Both straighten your legs. And then begin one to come down to your spine. Straight core. Core's on fire. And just like to scoot up a little. Nice. And take a breath here. And maybe walk your feet in, grab one of your blocks, have it handy. Walk your feet in. And maybe just rock your hips side to side. Maybe widen your stance. Take your feet to the outside edges of your mat, and you might want to put a blanket under your cervical spine for extra support if that feels good. And then just windshield wiper your knees. So you're getting a little twist. And you can extend your arms or put them in cactus. And then walk your feet back together, come to stillness. Take the block, lift your hips, and place the block under your sacrum. And remember, your sacrum is under your lumbar. It's that triangular shaped, fused series of bones, right? So we want to make sure we have it properly placed. It's not under your waist, it's under your sacrum. And just breathe here. Keeping your knees in line with your hips, in line with your shoulders. So we want to make sure this is a back bend. So we're actually in extension here in our spine right now. We're bending backwards. Slight, it's a supported back bend, but we want to make sure that the placement of the block is in the right place to give us the support we need to keep us safe. And that our knees are not out. They're parallel. So imagine you could take that second block if you want and put it between your knees, just as a reminder of proper placement so that you're safe. And try to tuck your shoulder blades underneath your back so that your chest is open, and you can just relax your arms by your side, or you can tee them out to the side, or cactus. So we're getting a little bit of a heart opener as well as a supported bridge. And start to bring awareness to your breath. Just make sure that it's not labored. Make sure you're using full inhales, filling your belly, expanding your rib cage, bringing that air all the way up to your lungs, and then releasing it through your lungs, bringing in your ribs and squeezing it out through your belly. So you're bringing your belly button to your spine. Just try to even out your breath and deepen it. then slowly engage your core. Bring your knees in towards your chest and extend your feet up to the ceiling. So legs up the wall. This is a great restorative pose. And maybe flex your feet and point them. Flex and point. Flex and point. Maybe do some circles. And then circles in the opposite direction, and you hear all kinds of clicks and pops. That's okay. There you go. You got to keep everything lubricated. And maybe extend your arms and twist your wrists at the same time. So we got a lot of lubrication going on. Maybe flashlight your hands. And then just bring them back to your side and let them relax. And bend your knees, bring them into your chest. And we're going to start a yogi bicycle. So we're going to drop one leg out, extend the other one all the way up. Big, long extension, and ride that bike. Take it nice and slow, use your core. Because a strong core supports our lumbar spine. So the stronger our core is, the safer our backs are. There you go. And then bring them both together. Give them a little squeeze. Then bring your feet to the mat. Push down onto your feet. Lift your hips up and remove the block. Lower slowly to the mat with your hips. And if you have your strap handy, grab your strap. And put it around your right leg. Just the ball of your foot. Make sure your shoulders stay on the mat. Keeping that left knee facing the ceiling. And just let this be a gentle stretch. And your lumbar spine is flat on the mat. And then on your next exhale, I want you to just bring it over across your body just a little bit to stretch out that T-band on the outside of your leg. Keeping both shoulders on the mat. Keeping that left knee facing the ceiling. Just feel the stretch on the outside of your right leg. And then exhale, bring it back to center. And then slowly switch hands. Take the strap in your right hand. Start to open that leg out to the side, keeping that bent knee straight up to the ceiling. And go as far as is comfortable here. You want to keep both hips on the mat, both shoulders on the mat. And if you want to put blocks underneath your leg this way to catch you and support you, that's fine. But try to be mindful of not lifting your hips off the mat. And trying to keep that bent knee like a flashlight shining straight at the ceiling. Keep that left hip rooted to the earth. And then slowly use your core, pull it back up to center. Bend that knee in, release the strap, and let's sit up on the other side. Strap goes around your left foot, ball of your left foot, right knee is bent, facing the ceiling. And just stay here for a minute. Make sure your shoulders are both on the mat. You don't want to yank that foot, you're just guiding it. Couple breaths here. And then slowly take that strap with your opposite hand, with your right hand, and let it cross the midline, just gently, a little bit to get the stretch of the T-band on your left leg. Keeping both hips on the earth. Relax. And then come back to center. Switch hands again, and this time let that left leg open up to the side. And again, if you need a block for support, do so. Make sure you keep that right knee facing the ceiling, both hips on the earth, both shoulders on the earth. Inner thigh stretch. Engage your core, bring that leg back to center, bend your knee, release the strap, set the strap aside, grab hold of your knees, give them a little TLC, rock around your lumbar spine, just give it a little massage. And bring that right foot to the earth, take that left ankle, put it over your right thigh, and just come into supine pigeon. And then slowly, hands to the earth, out to the side like a T, and then allow that left foot and that right leg to just flop over to the right until that left foot hits the earth. So you're still in that letter 4, and now your left hip is lifted off the mat. That's fine. But your shoulders are both on the mat. And your gaze, you can take your head in the opposite direction of your the twist. So your head gazes to the left. You feel the stretch in your glutes and the back of your by your lumbar spine, outside your lumbar spine, and then engage your core. Come back up to center. Unwind, bring that left foot to the mat. Right foot up till your ankle is over your thigh, making a figure 4. Stay here for a minute. Make sure your arms are extended out. Shoulders are on the earth. And then begin to flop that left leg over to the left until your right foot is on the earth. This time your right hip lifts off the floor, but your shoulders are still on the mat. Gaze is opposite your legs, so your gaze is over to your right. One last rotation of our spine, one last spinal twist. And then slowly use your core, bring yourself back up, give yourself one more hug with your knees. Take whatever final pose you need to feel good before Shavasana. Maybe happy baby. Maybe Supta Baddha Konasana, where you bring your feet together. Maybe you're not feeling any of that. You just want to go into Shavasana. When you do, find a comfortable way to extend your legs. Relax your arms by your side. Soften your neck. And bring attention back to your breath. And just plug in, bring your awareness to what's going on in your body right now. We did a lot of movement. We moved our spines in a lot of different directions. See how that feels right now. Do you feel a little bit taller? Do you feel a little looser? Do you feel a little more invigorated? And then start to bring awareness to how you're breathing, what's going on with your breath work, and what's going on with your mind. Are you able to focus on your breath and let those thoughts come and go like leaves floating in a moving stream? Eckhart Tolle writes that one conscious breath in and out is a meditation. So in this Shavasana, bring your awareness to that meditation of breath, to really use your mind's eye during this time to focus on your breath. And on your inhale, imagine inhaling peace, whatever that means to you. And on your exhale, imagine releasing and exhaling stress, whether it's physical stress, emotional stress, and let your body just soften, your face soften, your shoulders soften with each one. And on your next inhale, inhale trust. Maybe trust that your body will always be there to support you. Maybe trust that we will find a way through these tough times. Maybe trust that you have all you need inside to handle any situation. And on your exhale, exhale worry. Worry of any kind. On your next breath in, inhale courage. Courage to stand by your convictions. Courage to stand by your values and take the steps necessary to make the changes in your personal life that will give you a better state of well-being and a better quality of life. On your next exhale, exhale fear. Fear of judgment. Fear of unmet expectations. Fear of the unknown. We can only control this moment. On your next inhale, inhale love. love for yourself, love for all those around you, love for the unlovable. And on your next exhale, exhale gratitude. Gratitude for this moment. Gratitude for the gift of yoga. Gratitude for all the blessings in your life. And maybe this day, moving forward, we show that gratitude with a mantra of thank you. Thank you for having a roof over my head. Thank you for having a loving community. Thank you for the gifts of my family and friends. And slowly begin to bring your focus back to your present moment. And make your way over to your side. Keeping your eyes closed. Just bask in this place of new beginning, feeling refreshed with a new sense of well-being. And grateful that you made the time and that your body supported you for today's practice. And then slowly find your way to a seated posture. When you're ready, take your time. Drop your chin to your chest, hands to heart center. And I thank you for honoring me with your presence today in this yoga practice. And I thank you for sharing all your blessings with me. Have a wonderful day. Keep your spine well. Namaste.